Alright, kia ora everybody, welcome back. My name is Te Haunui Tuna, and this is the Creative Curiosity Podcast, the podcast where we delve into creative minds, find out how they tick, and also get practical advice for you, the listener at home, in order to go from where you are now to where you want to be, and to hopefully be more proficient and professional at what you do. Anyway, we got our first guest, my brother from another mother. So McLeod, how you feeling, brother?
Oh, very nervous. This is nerve-wracking.
Oh, bro, it's nerve-wracking for me too.
Oh, bro. Just this whole setup and everything, bro. This is overwhelming.
Oh, so whānau, been thinking about this concept for ages, about like Creative Curiosity Podcast and to have guests. And my bro over here happily agreed to be my first guest. The time now is just after 10 p.m. on Sunday. Everything didn't go perfectly to plan, but we're here. Everything looks good. I hope you fellas enjoy this podcast. So for the people at home, brother, I know there are a lot of people who know you from your moko to your haka, but they only know like the tip of the iceberg of you. So just give us a little intro, who you are, where you come from.
Oh, yeah? Well, kia ora whānau. Name's Simon McLeod, bro. Heuri nā te whānau apunui, te whakatōhea, ngai tai, ngai tūhoi, he herenga anō wōku ki roto o Ngāti Konohi. But I tipu mai au I te kaha. I was brought up in te kaha. Born and raised there by a single mother. Went to high school in Gisborne, spent 2.5 years at Lytton High School, and then spent another 2.5 years at Gisborne Boys High School. When I finished high school, I went straight into art school at Toi Haukura. I'm not too sure where the podcast is going to go if I need to give away too much now.
Oh no, that's all good.
But, I think even people who might follow me on Instagram or wherever, or who have sort of, I know I've spoken to a few people who have said they followed my haka journey and stuff, but people don't know too much about me. I'm pretty reserved with a lot of my life, and just always been that way, shy. Like I don't even think this podcast will give people a good look at or look into how shy I actually am, because I'm sitting here with you, and like even though I'm nervous, just being in front of a camera, knowing people actually or might watch this,
they'll watch it. They'll definitely watch it.
Yeah, it might come off probably not as bad because I'm sitting here with you, and we're close airs, so
Comfortable.
I'm comfortable airs with you, and I've had a few of the bros hit me up for podcasts, and I've said yes, but I haven't done any yet. I think this is probably the best place for me to start is with you, bro.
And for me too, I think so. And like, so for those of you watching and listening, you can probably hear in his voice how like nervous he is, and this is definitely a privilege, like not only for me but for the listeners, because this will be like for a lot of people listening, like the first time they'll actually get to know you, because like people have grown up seeing you on the stage, like literally been on the stage your whole life, and to now, like, I'm just blooming glad that I can do this with you, my bro. If you can just talk a little bit about like the early days, like growing up with like a single mother. What was that like growing up with a single mother? Like, did you miss the father figure, or who stood in that place for you?
I didn't really miss a father figure because like I never had a father growing up, and so the upbringing that I had was, to me, just normal upbringing. So
that would have been all you know, no?
Yeah, it's all I know. Like I don't know what it's like to have a father, so I don't know what it was like to miss out on having a father.
Yeah, true that.
And know, I was fortunate enough to have some pretty cool role models, like men around me growing up, uncles,
Yeah.
and like literally my bedroom was directly across the road from my marae at Te Kaha.
Yeah.
It's like a good 200 metres from my wharenui, so tipu mai au runga I te marae. And yeah, like I don't like to get up and whai kore or anything like that, but
Yeah.
I wasn't anyone who was brought up in the kitchen. Like I know
Yeah.
sometimes we go to the marae and I'm not much of a dishes fella or anything like that, but like yeah, especially my uncle Edward, he hasn't had me be a kitchen person, and he's not a kitchen person either.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah.
What would you, because like knowing you, like there's probably only one other fella that I know like you who's like young. Like how old are you now? You're 31?
Yeah, 31.
31. There's probably only one other fella that I know who's like around your age who knows as much as you know, like in terms of old Māori, but like just like super low key about it. You know, like for example, like this evening we went to the gym. Oh, the bro worked out and I just videoed him, and he was telling me this story about Upper Nui Ringamutu and one of the tipuna from here. So we're in Tauranga Mona, we're in Tauranga at the moment recording this podcast, and it was just like a story I'd never heard, and just like as long as I've known you, like just out of nowhere you'll just drop like these blimmin' like bombs of ultimate like stories from Upper Nui, from like all over the country actually. Like who were, like when we talk about like Māori stories and like whakapapa and all that sort of stuff, who were like some of the people who were like your biggest teachers in that realm?
Yeah, well, I roto I te ao Māori o I te wāhi ahu e tipu ana, I ngā marae o te whānau Upper Nui, Waimari ahau. I was pretty lucky as a young fella to have seen and heard some like really great people that we had on our marae in te whānau Upper Nui that we don't really have. Oh, we still have some. Yeah, we still have some, but like fellas like that have passed on, like Uncle Bill Tāwhai, Auntie Roka Paora. Yeah, she was another one who always told cool stories from our area, and like pretty much from the time I was born, I was brought straight into the environment of whānau Upper Nui Kapa haka. And so when I was little, there were people around like Maka Jones, and then Ricky Rangi Gage. Like he definitely played a role from the time I was like a child and to my teens. I was around him, lucky enough to be around him a lot. And then people like Eruti Korewha's he's probably, him and Derek Lardeli have had a huge role. I've been around Eruti, like he was one of my first ever school teachers, and he's an uncle, like he's Te Kaha Marae, Te Uhutu, so yeah, he's probably one of the other main ones. As well as just listening to our pakeke, Emma Rogers. Just there's heaps, and
it's crazy because like I'm like I have a similar upbringing where like we grew up on our marae and stuff, but I don't know because that stuff just went straight over my head. Like when I was a kid, like I remember heaps of random ass things from my childhood, but like heaps of like our like stories like that, like kōrero like that from like Maiko Matua, like heaps of it like my siblings can remember like in detail, but I can't. Like what do you reckon it is about how all of those like kōrero just stuck? Were you just like intently listening, or were you just like how did it like stick so well? What do you reckon?
Gee, that's a hard one, bro. But even as a kid, like I don't actually think any of the people that were telling the stories would have thought that I might be one of the ones that might be I reira te hupu kōrero, because I was just so shy, even as a little boy, like always clinging to my mother's skirt, you know. I don't know, I just, made sure it didn't fly out the other ear, or, And I think a couple of other people that I probably missed out that I shouldn't have was Cliff Whiting.
Yeah, huge.
He's huge, especially i roto I te Aotoi. And Robin Mohi.
Yeah.
Robin Mohi at Maraenui School. And spent a bit of time around Haturini as well.
Yeah.
Like he's played a big role in like he didn't take me one-on-one for leading the haka. Or there was like little bits, but when it comes to leading the haka, he's one fella that probably played a major role in sort of te tua te kaitātaki.
Yeah.
And he was a tino tauira for me to look up to in terms of that. Yeah.
Oosh, that's mean. I hope if you're watching this, Kazi Haturini.
He's not going to watch.
Who knows, maybe 10 years from now he listens to this, but yeah, you've told me heaps about that, like about Haturini and like how much of an impact he's had on you. And it's crazy, like when you think about it, like for him it's probably just stuff that he already knows and he's known over the years, but like I bet he doesn't know like how much of an impact that he had.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Just that little bit of advice.
Yeah, just little gems that he used to drop in there, just when we were kids too. Like, I was around them from when I was about 9 till I was about 13.
True. I didn't even know you were that young.
Yeah, when I was about 9 till I was about 13, and he was sort of one of the first fellas that dropped us into our Māori in terms of like a learning style. Yeah. Like spending the whole year learning karakia before we picked up a rākau. Oh, that sort of stuff. And, taking us into the bush with our rākau and learning stuff, roto I te whare punga were, that sort of style of learning where it's sit down in your environment and listen to the kōrero. Yeah.
That's super like old school.
That's old school, and even to now, like technology's popping up and it's pretty cool. Like this sort of stuff's pretty cool. And
hard.
Like this information can just pop out to the whole world. Yeah. And I still try and keep as much as the old stuff as I can. Like I did my masters a couple of years ago through Toi Haukura. They started a masters program, and one of the things I wanted to do with that was to delve back into that style of stuff. Yeah. I roto I te whare punga were, and so all the stuff that I put into my master's thesis, I had no references from the internet. I didn't want to use the internet other than maybe to grab a picture for a presentation. Yeah. Didn't want to read a book. I'm not into reading books. Yeah. Didn't watch a video or anything. I just made sure that everything I referenced was he kōrero tuku iho. Yeah. And I didn't write anything either because I don't think I'm very good at grammar. But so everything I did, I recorded it. Yeah. And he mea hopua reo. So it was all caught by recording voice and video. Yeah. So that's where everything was written down, and just to keep it the old way. Yeah. Which is what our jobs should be as Māori artists, or traditionally the job of a Māori artist is the same job as a writer now, which was to record things. Yeah. And like in the time of our tipuna, they would and we would put, like, I remember a few times when we were younger sitting down with Uncle Bill Tāwhai and Koro Danny Pohipi, and sitting in front of a carving and being told a story. And that's the visual narrative. Yeah. That's the writing of our tipuna. Yeah. And
that's what they did. And like, I think about like our stories, and like all our like mythological stories and stuff. And like I think about like Maui and and all these stories and how epic they are. And
Yeah.
I'm like talking about like the real old ones, like early Māori settlers, and like about like how crazy those stories
Yeah.
were, and like I like how much like I think about it and like about how crazy the stories are, and like I wonder how much of it was like 100% true and like how much of it was like fabricated, and did they do that in order for the story to not get lost? Like, what's your thoughts
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah, some heaps of that's true, especially about Atua Māori.
Yeah,
Like that was the cool thing about the stuff with Uncle Cliff
yeah,
is, we have our kōrero about our Atua Māori
Yeah.
and the mythologies, and he used to talk about them in more of a realistic sense, which was cool, and like building them up as gods and things like that is in the stories
yeah,
is definitely one way of just building a legend,
yeah,
building legends around our tipuna's names, so that the stories don't get lost.
Yeah,
That's
that's it,
absolutely right, bro.
so they can stand the test of time.
Yep.
And like, how you're talking about like being with Koro Bill and Koro Danny, and like reading like the whakairo and all that sort of stuff. Can you just tell me about, because I remember you telling me at haka practice one time about, I think was it one of the carvings back at the marae, and the last person who knew how to understand that style of carving like passed away or something?
Yeah, well, probably when Uncle Cliff was in his sort of last year when he was alive, we had spoken about going back to our whare at Tukaki, and deciphering all the whakairo that's in there, because the people that knew what those whakairo were in our whare, they've all passed on, and the people that taught him how to carve were the people that carved it. So when those people were in their sort of their last days or last years of living, he had taken a book to them with photographs of the whole whare, and asked them to just write next to each carving who each tipuna was, and then after that person passed away, he went back to get the book off the whānau, and they hadn't written anything in there. But in the main tipuna that are in the whare, you can know who they are. Like you know which ones are Apanui and Rongamai Huatahi, and a lot of them you can tell maybe who they are, or possibly around who they are just by the style that they're carved in. Because they are like those Taiapa brothers. They carved each tipuna in the style of the area that they're from. So there are ways of sort of deciphering it,
like narrowing it down.
But at the same time, it could be a dangerous thing to do. And like getting it wrong is just as bad as not knowing who they are. So we don't want to do that either. But hopefully there is something somewhere. I know Auntie Roka knew a lot. Knew a lot of the carvings, and some of the ones that I remember are the ones that she had mentioned. Ones that Uncle Bill had mentioned. There's ones that Uncle Cliff and Uncle Iruiti have mentioned as well. So but the whole whare is based around all the connections, whakapapa connections that Apanui has to all the tipuna that he descends from. So it's the whare is definitely he tumu herenga waka kia mātou. So
it's buzzy. I remember when you were telling me that, I was just like, because it got me thinking about like we're like our generation now, we're kind of like at a turning point in terms of like how our history can carry on. Like like our parents' generation and up, most of it was like kōrero tuku iho, or like written, and even then like hardly any of it was written down. But like we're in a generation now and a time now like with technology like this where we can like record all these things and put it out there to make it harder to be lost, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think like we're lucky in that sense. So obviously we get a sense of like growing up with your like kaumātua and like growing up with your elders, and so we're just gonna make a shift to your moko journey, and so how we met. I went to do my first performance with Tauira Mai Tawhiti. So the bro here is the leader of Tauira Mai Tawhiti. If you don't know, you probably don't watch haka. And if you watch haka, of course you will know. And I went and did my first stand back in 2010. And I was, tōrere, and I was 18. And I remember, because I had met you, so my first ever moko I got was this one over here. And it was from this fella. And that was about 2007?
Yeah, I think the first time we sort of met was I performed at the Ahure, Tuoi Ahure with your mum.
Yeah, and my brother in Hipa.
In Hipa, and I had a moko stand there.
Yeah.
And we were performing early in the morning, and you went and looked after my gears. Yeah, you and your brother went and set up my moko booth and looked after it while I performed. And you came and hung a couple of your paintings in there.
Yeah.
Those ones of you, those self-portrait ones.
Far out. I legit forgot about that.
I think that was probably our first introduction.
Yeah, and I remember even then we sort of talked a little bit, but then I remember probably this is just from memory. You might remember it differently, but I remember the night when it fully clicked for me was was when we went. I remember our Tauira campaign, that first one, and I remember we went down to the camping, or what is it called? That place where we went to watch tennis and we had that party.
What's
that place?
Uncle Paul's Chase at TK.
Yeah, what is it?
The backpackers.
Backpackers,
Uncle's backpackers, yeah.
Yeah, so we went to this backpackers, and I remember the Australian Open was on.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking why the hell is everyone watching tennis? I didn't care about tennis back then, but I love it now. And anyway, I remember we were trying to prank someone. Remember we were trying to give someone a fright. And then we were drinking, and I remember we went into the shower, and it was one of those small showers with the metal bottom, that small ass one. And then I remember me and you went in there and turned off the light, and we were just waiting for the next person to come in so we could give them a fright. And I remember we were just nose to nose pretty much, and just laughing about dumb stuff. And then that was my first time I remember it just clicking and just going fuck, this fella likes all the same dumb shit that I do.
Do we just become best friends?
Yep. So that was the first time we met, and we were legit how, so this is movie reference. That's what that was, that quote of Step Brothers, which is one of our favorite movies. And it was legit Dale and Brendan, when
it was pretty
that little moment where it clicked, and we were just what? This fella just gets it. He gets what I get. And the stuff that we laugh at is stuff that 99% of people think is dumb.
Yeah.
And we're just on our own. Yeah. We're on our own damn planet.
Hello, me tea.
But anyway, that was when we knew far yet, we're brothers. We're gonna be brothers. And then moko is just another thing that is a thing that ties us together. So let's talk about moko. How young were you when you started drawing moko? And then from there, how young were you when you knew that you wanted to become a moko artist?
My first real exposure to moko, when I was younger, a couple of uncles got a couple of armbands and
those mana bands.
The mana bands, and I just remember thinking, fuck, this is too much. Too much, the uncles. And then sort of during my upbringing, people that wore moko sort of had died out down home. And then when I moved to Gisborne was the first time I was really exposed
Yeah.
to a lot of moko.
How old were you then when you moved to Gizzy?
Straight into high school, so I was about 13.
Oh, yeah. So year 9?
Yeah, year 9, or is it third formers?
Yeah, third form.
third
Oh,
form.
yeah. Sorry, bro.
Yeah, and then like a lot of the students at high school, like I remember just freaking out that people at high school had moko.
Yeah.
I thought that was out of it. And then I knew who Derek was from Kapa haka.
Yeah.
And then I sort of knew that he had a bit to do with the revival of moko. It wasn't until I moved to Gisborne that I sort of saw the extent of how much or how big of an involvement he was in moko's revival. And one of my teachers at Lytton was Morehu Nikora.
Oh, yeah.
Morehu Nikora. And we made a connection that through like through our whakapapa that we were related and we descended from the same tipuna because I'm a Nikora from Omarumutu.
Yeah.
And he knew like that side of our whakapapa, so he took us back to Whangara.
Yeah.
And every second year the tamararo in Gisborne is non-competitive, and then every other year it's their regional. And one of the off years where it wasn't a qualifier, we actually went back and performed for Whangara. That was my first actual performance with an adult group. Was with Whangara.
I didn't even know that.
And that was the first time I made a connection with Derek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how old were you by then?
I was like 14.
14.
Yeah.
Baby.
That would have been in my first year at high school. And then at the end of the year, we came back for fourth form, and one of my best mates at school was this fella Tommy Crawford, and he was from Tolaga Bay.
Yeah.
And he came back our fourth form year on the first day, and he had a fresh moko from Uncle Mark. And I just freaked out because he was like 13, 14, and he was fourth form, and he had gotten his whole shoulder done, and I just like freaked out because it wasn't even just line work too, because Uncle Mark's a king of shading, and it was just shaded up, and it was pretty much at that point where I really fell in love with the visual aesthetic of moko. And like Tame, my mate Tame, of the two of us, I thought he would do moko because he could draw moko, and he was one of the first fellas to actually sort of show me how to draw moko, and he used to like draw in my like pangaro or my maths books with pencil, and then give me an ink pen, and I would to trace over the lines.
Shouts to the brother Tommy.
Shouts to the brother Tommy who's serving our country in the army. Chew my bro. Yeah, that was sort of one of the first ones, and then I met Henare Brooking, who was at Lytton with me at the time as well, and I didn't even know at the time, like he's only like a year older than me, but he was like 2 years older in forms at school, like he was a year ahead. And he was doing moko already, and we were at high school, and I remember freaking out at that, and
the young goat.
Yeah. And then he moved to boys high, and then went to Toyo instead of finishing off his last year at school, and I spent a lot of time with him when I was at high school. He became a really close mate. So like the exposure to moko just kept growing and growing. And it was probably when I was around 16, and that's sort of when I knew like this might be a path that I'm keen to go down.
At 16, eh?
Yeah, about 16 I sort of knew. And I moved to boys high about halfway through my fifth form year. It was probably about 2 weeks before the secondary nationals in Wellington that I moved to boys high. Yeah, it was only a couple of weeks.
Far out, I didn't know that.
Because like my best mate was there. My sister had moved to girls high.
Yep.
And
what? That was 2004.
Yeah, 2004. Moved to boys high, and then my last couple of years at school was when my relationship with Derek started to grow, because his daughter started at Girls High.
Yeah.
So she joined the haka group, and he started writing songs and started writing some of our waiata and our haka. And when we were at school, we did the haka mata ora, which was whangara's haka from like 1998.
Yeah.
And we also did moko pūwānanga, which was one of his mōteatea about moko.
Yeah.
And him and his wife like used to encourage me when we were at haka practice to go to Toiho.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much where it sort of kicked off.
So, how old were you when you started drawing moko? Like just drawing it, just
maybe
for
15.
Fun? So 15.
Yeah,
And then about 16 when you were just like, "Fight,
yeah,
I
I'm
reckon
keen.
this could be me."
Yeah, this could be me.
About 16, and you went to Gizzy Boys, 2004. So there's going to be a little bit of a transition into that 2004 Nats down in Wellington, because I remember that was the year that Rua won, like the Ruatoki won. Was it Tai?
Yeah, Ruatoki and Manaki, I think it was.
Te Ropu Manaki.
Yeah.
And I'm only saying that just because my older brother was in there.
Have to.
And he had Waimana on his chest,
Yeah.
or on his stomach. And how'd you go as the koitataki, bro?
Did alright. Yeah.
So the bro's a bit modest, but he won it. And it's funny because their video has popped up recently, like the last few months.
Yeah. It sort of pops up every now
Yeah,
and again.
has like
A couple of
rounds.
times a year I'll see a tag or something.
Oh, it's crazy
It'll
because
pop up. I think that was probably the first time I had written,
yeah,
like my first time composing songs too.
what?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I remember doing a little bit of mahi with the bro Max Martinga, writing our whakaeke, and I think I wrote the whakawātea,
Yeah.
the haka piece after the song. Yeah.
How did that work? Because like, you know, like in high school, most of the time, like the tutors, the kaioko and that, they just write all the stuff in, and you're a student, you just turn up and they just do what they tell you. How did that work? Did they like go, "Oh, do you want to write it?" Or were you just like, "Can I write it?"
Yeah, I was actually still at Lytton when they asked myself and Max to write the whakaeke. But the bro put most of the mahi into that, so
Yeah.
I'll give him the acknowledgements with that. He put the majority of the mahi in, and then actually I think myself and my sister might have done the whakawātea together.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had just grown close at the time to the tutors as well.
Yeah.
Whailo and
Yeah.
Kisi Taina and Logan, and Pora was one of our tutors at the time
Yeah.
too. Yeah, it was a privilege, like, to be asked.
Of course.
Because these are people that like I had grown up watching on TV do haka.
Yeah,
and-
they're like haka famous people.
yeah, like especially Logan, like when I was a young fella, he was the top haka man and just everywhere. And he was Maui, everyone used to call him Maui. And I used to call him Maui, like even until now I still call him Maui.
Yeah.
Like he's the OG, and like people have tried to emulate some of the things that he's done, and like a lot of haka these days is pretty flashy and busy, and a lot of sharp movements, real clean stuff.
Mm.
And I think he's one of the OGs, if not the OG of that sort of stuff. And it was real cool to be around him.
That's saying something, eh? And like just hearing all this stuff, like, because heaps of this like stuff that we're talking about is stuff that I'm just learning, which is mean. Because like our relationship, we're not really like, we're this days fellas who just like to have a laugh, eh? Like,
Yeah, pretty much we just muck
99%
around
of the
when
time.
we see each other. Yeah.
And like it's no surprise that it is about 11 o'clock right now. Like whenever we're together, like we're just too busy like
Yeah.
laughing and talking rubbish.
Stay up
To
to the
each
early
other.
hours.
Yeah. And I think like it's good because it's like a good like release, eh? Like just a little bit
Yeah, bro.
to not be so serious all the time about
Yeah.
stuff, and just to loosen up and just sort of take a step back and just to look at things
Yeah.
and just like have a laugh at it.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Hey.
I think I've learned to do that quite a lot with my life now.
Yeah.
Like even though I'm shy, like behind closed doors, I'm a bit of an egg.
Oh, 100%.
People who really, really know me will attest to it. My poor darling she cops the brunt of it, like, and yeah, I think since being with her, I've really gone back to, like, I feel like the same person that I was when I was like 16,
Yeah.
and like I'm an egg probably 90% of the time. Like if I'm not tired and hungry, I'm pretty much I'm gonna be an egg.
Yeah.
And because I'm like shy, I don't talk all day.
Yeah.
And then as soon as she gets home from work, she just gets all of it. And she has spent all day on her feet talking to people.
Yeah.
So she's quiet and she's ready to listen by then.
She's already been worn down by the days, mate.
Worn down by everyone else. So
And it's funny, like,
I'll bring her right down.
like doing moko and like getting, obviously like doing moko and we're like so close to each other. Like I live in Whakatane, you live here in Tauranga. And of course, like now and then we get the same clients, who've been worked by each other. And then like in the past, I've had people come and get done. And because like I'm a shy fella too, but not as shy as you. And I used to be like super shy as a kid, but I don't know, somewhere along the line I just came out. So I'm sort of like
Came out?
I'm sort of like in between like introvert and extrovert. And so I'm alright with like talking to clients and like, can sort of flow with conversations, and heaps of them have said like, oh man, like I got this moko from Sion. Man, he just doesn't talk. And I always say every single time to people like that, I'm like, oh bro, it's just, if he doesn't know you, like, and there's not much in common, he'll just do his mahi. But as soon as you know him, better get ready, because he don't hold back. So anyway, let's move on. So we've talked about the moko journey, and you went to Toihokura, and I remember coming to your fella's final exhibition. What was that, after 3 years? Was that your third year?
Yeah, third year degree exhibition,
Yeah, and I remember coming to that, and that was about 2009 or 2008?
2008, 2009, somewhere around there.
2009. And I remember at that point too, when I came there, because I remember just before that I was trying to just come up with my own style, like of moko, just out of nowhere, and trying to resist the urge to be influenced by these coasty fellas. And then I came down to the exhibition and the kanga with you, and met the bro Jar, who's like blooming the man.
Yeah, he's
Shout out to you, brother Jar.
cool fella.
And the bro LB and the bro Dan. And I remember then, like at the exhibition, I was just like, all right, I think I need to just try and not be the man and come up with my own style, like out of nowhere, and just be okay with being influenced by other styles. And from then I just started like hanging out with you heaps, like
Yeah.
hung out with you heaps. Came and got some more moko done. I remember the end of 2009, got my forearm done. You can see a little bit of it there. And yeah, literally the last day of 2009, like New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve, yeah.
And I remember coming to get that done, and then like getting my lower legs done, and each of those times like learning from you, and like it was cool because it wasn't like oh, this is how you do this is how you do that. It was just like, oh bro, like how do you do that, or like why do you do it like that? And then it was like being taught, because like me, those of you who don't know, like I started around the same year as Sai doing moko. We didn't know each other then, and my dad taught me, and my dad had only been doing it for like 2 years maybe, doing moko, and so he taught me all that he knew. And then it got to a point where I started learning heaps from this fella. So
I'm listening.
Sorry's in the listen, bro.
So where was I? I was saying, oh, so
Taught by your dad.
those of you, yes, I was taught by my dad for the first couple of years, by my Uncle Spock, by one of the Kazis Toko, and then apart from them, like when I started hanging out with you, like you're like my biggest teacher, even though like maybe it wasn't like kind of like that sort of relationship, like oh, I'm the teacher. And I remember like jokingly, like you calling me your apprentice
Just
or printai.
printai.
And then but yeah, nah, but like you're like legit like one of my teachers, and like keeps the stuff I learned from you. Like that's how I learned how to float. And I remember like watching, I was just like, oh, that's how you do 3 needle stuff.
Yeah.
And what was I gonna say? And I remember then like just like frothing, just like, wow, I just want to go home and like practice, and like looking at your machines, like you had Mickey Sharps, the old
Mickey
micro
Sharps,
dials.
yeah.
And I remember just being like, wow, just wanting like everything that you had.
Yeah.
And like back then, I remember looking at all the stuff that you had and just being like, oh, if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. And like trying to save up my money, and not even ending up buying all that stuff, but buying heaps of stuff from Bohemian Tattoo Supply, which is one of the local suppliers here, like one of the best in the country. And then like leveling up my gears. And then I remember like when I would get like better at moko, and I'd be like, yeah, I feel pretty mean. And then I'd see your new stuff, and I'd be just like, oh, fuck. This fella's just freaking gone and raised the bar some more. And it was mean, like, and like, it's still like why I continue to get better now. It's just like looking like at you and like all the people that I look up to in the moko world, like Nare Brooking, the goat, blooming young goat.
Younger.
Bloody Tawhanga Rika. He's another young goat.
He's young gun.
And he's another mean ass fella. So like, yeah, so that's like the moko journey. And let's talk a bit about like your relationship and like with Ngātai, and like how much of a role, like, cause I know, like, cause I've been with like Sunny, like with my partner for like 9.5 years, and I know like how much of a big role that plays, and like how much of a big role does Ngātai play in your life.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
She's changed my whole life, bro.
Yeah.
I call her my hero.
Hey.
Yeah, like,
wow, that's so mean.
yeah, I call her my hero. Like, she's saved my life, bro.
Yeah.
Saved my life. Like I've had my own mental battles.
Yeah.
Like no one will know.
Yeah.
No one will know. I don't talk to anybody. But she's pulled me out of a dark place. She's pulled me out of a dark place, and like, things in my life aren't perfect.
Oh, no one.
But she makes them feel. She makes it feel perfect. Like, she makes everything just feel so good.
Yeah.
When things aren't going good,
Yeah.
she still lets me know that everything will be okay.
Yeah.
And like, in the morning, she just, puts my mind at ease. And
Yeah.
if I have a good morning, then I'm gonna have a good day.
That sets up your whole day.
It just sets up my whole day. I feel like my work's like, or even my mentality about my work's changed.
Yeah.
Like, just focusing more on the quality.
Yeah.
Like, quality everywhere around life.
Yeah.
She brings so much quality to my life.
Yeah.
And I focus a lot on quality in my life rather than quantity.
Yeah, hard.
Like, I've removed a lot of negative things from my life, a lot of negative people from my life. And like, I try and make sure everything's quality work.
Yeah.
And just she helps me keep my mind healthy. Yeah. And she looks after my heart. Yeah. And that's real cool. Yeah. Like, she takes really good care of my heart, which is, it's wicked. She's the most amazing person I've ever met, bro. She's amazing. And like, to carry my child, that's just the utmost thing that she could ever do for me. Yeah. Is carry our child for
baby
9
coming
months.
At the end of the year.
Yeah, end of the year. Our baby should be here.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be January 4th, but our baby's a little bit outgrown already. she's 22 weeks, but measuring at like 27 weeks.
Oh, true.
Yeah, so big baby on
She's
the way.
rearing to go.
She's rearing to go. Yeah.
Ready to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Far out. And like, just talking about like, it's mean like hearing you talk about like Ngātai like that. And I remember it was about a year ago, like October, when I first came over and I met Ngato.
Yeah.
And came over to your fella's place when you was staying there in Papamoa. And like the first time I met her, and I remember just like when I just saw how like she was and like how you fellas interacted. And I remember when I left, I was just like, I was legit like punching the ceiling, just like yes, like just super stoked for you and super happy for you, and just like probably just grateful because like knowing that you can be like how I know you are,
Yeah.
you know, and like be like that all the time, and to sort of be like unapologetically like yourself, you know what I mean? And
I'm more myself around her than anyone.
yeah, see, look at that.
Yeah. Which is real cool. Like I can
Yeah.
just be myself every single day.
Yeah, let go of all your inhibitions.
Let go. Poor thing.
That's on like I've talked to Sunny like a bit, and like you know we have like not so much like insecurities, but you know little things that you wouldn't do like in front of other people, or like things that you don't want other people to see you doing, like you know things like about like things that like make you feel like a little bit like not, I don't know, or like things that make you feel like a little bit ugly, you know what I mean, like things like that. So like examples like just having like no t-shirt on and then like seeing your rolls and things like that, for example. And like I remember talking to Sunny about that and like saying like that's a privilege, you know, to see like your
See
partner
my
like
rolls.
that, and like to have your partner see you like that, because like freaking hell, like I'm like sweet with like who I am and how I am, but
Yeah.
like I ain't keen to just let everyone see my rolls. You know what I mean? And like I think that's what's cool about like being in a relationship, and like being in a relationship like that, like you can just be
Yeah.
sweet with every sort of part of you, and
Yeah.
and vice versa.
Because like I've try and put a big focus on my health,
Yeah,
exercise, and like there's more of a focus now around my actual health than rather than what I look like.
yeah,
And she's played a big part of it because like she loves me for who I am,
yeah,
and like that's how we clicked, was what's on the inside more
Yeah.
than the outside. Like she's beautiful on the outside, but even more so on the inside.
Yeah.
She's a really beautiful person, and like that's what I really fell in love with.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think it's the same for you. Like I can be myself
yeah.
in front of her, and there are parts of my body that I'm ashamed of that she sees every day.
Privilege.
It's a privilege. And like I've told her some stories like of some little embarrassing events, and like there's a couple that she's the only person in the whole world
Yeah.
that knows these stories. And maybe if you just come to my Purupuru when I die one day, she'll tell them.
I'll remind you.
Remind her, bro.
Oh, remember that podcast we did back in 2019? Sai told me to remind you when he dies at his purupuraki to tell us. And he said you were the only person in this
Yeah.
world who knew.
Yeah.
But like I think that's like so mean, like just knowing that your home life is like the best part of your life, you know?
Yeah, bro.
Hey, and
I
like
love
because
being
if
at
home is
bro.
mean,
Yeah.
then everywhere else, I mean, mahi can be mean, gym can be mean,
Yeah.
like external relationships with like, you know, other people can be mean.
Yeah. And yeah, like I love being at home now.
Yeah,
I work, I go to the gym,
yeah,
and then like I'll spend every other minute of the day with her,
yeah,
and the majority of that time is just spent at home
yeah,
in front of the TV. And I know like things are so awesome because we can sit on an 8-hour flight and talk the whole way, and time flies. And at the same time, we can sit in a room and either be on our phones, or one on the phone, one watching TV. And
yeah,
like if you can sit in silence, it'd be comfortable.
Yeah.
That's
that's it.
that's it right there.
And not feel any kind of like anxiety
Yeah,
or
no anxieties.
yeah,
I still have my anxieties, but nothing based around my relationship.
Yeah,
Nothing
yeah.
based around home life.
That's solid as.
It's yeah.
That's me, bro. Like, yeah, so that's good to hear. So let's make a little bit of a segue to your gym life. Oh, did you want to say something first?
No, I was thinking in terms of like that happiness
Yeah.
and like it sets up like everything else.
Yeah.
Like we've been saying to go good, and I think for anybody out
Yeah.
there, I know you're probably gonna ask about those questions at the end about the creativity stuff, but like happiness,
yeah.
like just finding happiness, and no matter where you are in your life or what's going on, who you're with, anything, just if you're not happy, then you've got to find a way to be happy,
Yeah.
even if it's finding a way out
Yeah.
and going through a hard time and then coming out on the other side.
Yeah.
It's gonna be worth it,
Yeah.
definitely.
Oh, you're the blooming living
Proof of that,
living
bro.
proof of that,
Just,
yeah.
if you need to make an extreme life change,
Yeah.
to be happy, do it.
Yeah.
Or just to anybody out there in the world,
This is some real advice.
this is real advice. Is to be happy, find happiness, and everything will work itself out.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't let your happiness be reliant on others too.
Yeah.
Like, she makes me happy, but I'm not gonna rely on her to make me
Yeah,
happy.
yeah.
Like,
It's not an expectation.
it's not an
Yeah.
expectation that it's her job to make me
Yeah.
happy. I'm doing things in my life right now that make me happy.
Yeah, take
Like, we're about
responsibility.
to go into
yeah.
the gym life stuff, and like that stuff makes me happy. I can do everything in my life that makes me happy right
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
and that's the cool thing.
And someone who supports all of that.
And somebody who supports all of that, and I support everything she wants to
Yeah.
do too. Yeah.
Eish. That was the ultimate advice right there for it. If you fellas are still listening after this hour or however long we've been talking,
Might have to cut this into two, bro. Part 1, part 2.
is to yeah, and
Partero.
I agree 100%. Like, like we were talking about it today. Like, you don't want to get old, and this is something that I've said heaps in like my Instagram stories and some of my past videos, is not wanting to get to an older age and look back on your life and regret not taking that leap towards happiness, even if that leap meant jumping off the cliff first
Yeah.
and then climbing up another mountain. Hey, like,
Worth it, bro. Worth it.
yeah, hard. Like, you've been blooming doing the hard mahi for blooming few years, and then now look, you're blooming at a place of prosperity and unconditional love. That's the blooming.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm the man or anything. I wouldn't say I'm at where it's at.
Yeah,
I'm at where you fellas need to be at.
Yeah.
Nah, nothing like that, bro.
Yeah,
I'm not even at where I want to be at.
yeah,
But at the same time, I'm just content because I'm just so happy.
yeah.
Like, everything
No, you're
that
on
I
the right
know-
path. Eh?
everything that I know that I need in my life, I have in it right now.
Yeah,
And all those other things, like where I want to go,
yeah.
where I want to be, what I want to do, they're all wants.
Yeah. And they'll always be
they'll
ahead
always
of
be
you.
there.
Yeah,
They'll always be ahead of me, and always having something in front of me
yeah,
is always what's gonna make me better.
yeah. And I think that's like what everyone should be doing. Like,
yeah,
and like when you do achieve those things, to have more, so you can keep growing and keep developing to be a better person,
Yeah.
to have better relationships, better quality.
One of Derek's quotes that he used to always use, and I still like to use it today, is the road to success is always under construction.
Oh,
And
100%.
that's I love that.
Yeah.
That little whakatauki.
Whakatauaki.
The whakatauaki, Derek.
And like, if you fellas don't know Derek Lardeli, like, just Google him. He's one of the people, like, sorry, I already spoke about it earlier, but he's one of the people responsible for the resurgence of moko in Aotearoa, and like, we're literally living the lives we live because of people like
Yeah.
Derek Lardeli. Like, I do not know what I would be doing if I'd never discovered moko.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like we probably wouldn't have even had a relationship.
Maybe not have even
Hey,
met.
and what a tragedy that would have been.
Yeah, quality of life would have went down a little bit.
Wouldn't have been as good as it
Wouldn't have been as cool as it
Yeah,
is
yeah.
now, but I like having cool people in my life,
Oh,
bro.
me too, bro. Like you. So now we can segue. So to your gym life, and like you've been pretty like consistently going to the gym for like the last 3 years, I would say. Eh?
Yeah, 4 years.
Yeah, 3-4 years,
yeah.
and like actually enjoying it, and like your enjoyment going from like strength to strength, and like doing like body weighted movements, like calisthenics and all that sort of stuff. Just tell us about if there was a point in time when a switch just flicked for you, when you went from not really working out to just being like, alright, I actually enjoy working out, and who are some of the people that you look up to in that world?
I think we could go back to the right back to the start.
Yeah.
I was at one point the heaviest I ever, like, people won't know, and unless you came and got moko from me, like at the time, you might have seen sort of where I was at, because I was at a point where I was a bit depressed, and I was pretty much just at home doing moko and doing nothing else.
Yeah.
And I was like, the heaviest I ever saw on the scales was 101.
101. And how tall are you?
101 kg. I'm like 5'11", 5'11"ish,
And you're like small, sort
and
of
just naturally skinny.
naturally small
And
fella.
I just had a puku.
Yeah.
Like all my weight was just in my stomach,
Mm.
and like I was embarrassed of myself, and like it wasn't the only thing that was making me depressed, but
Yeah.
it was playing a role.
Yeah.
And but the change had to come, like it was slight, it was bit by bit, because I
Yeah.
built so many bad habits,
Yeah.
and it was pretty hard to flick those bad habits.
Yeah, of course.
Diet change was
Mm.
hard, and it's still not perfect, but it's
Mm.
taken years to start eating healthier,
Mm.
and like just changing my way of thinking around my health.
Yeah.
And I one of the first fellas who sort of helped me in the gym was the bro Steiner, Warren Steiner.
Is he that South African dude?
Nah,
Oh.
he's from here. He's from
Oh,
the Mount.
jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, nah. I was thinking of another fella,
Um,
similar name.
I met him through Bailey when he
Oh,
was
yeah.
doing taekwondo. He was one of the taekwondo coaches.
Yeah.
And then I knew he worked at the gym, so he was the first one to sort of get me into the gym, and he started me off from the simple stuff,
Yeah.
just getting into the gym first, and not worrying too much about dieting or
Yeah.
anything like that, and just teaching me about simple things like muscle-mind connection and
Ah, yeah, I remember those days. Yeah.
technique, and just real simple things about health, and then after that, I sort of hit a plateau for
Yeah.
quite a bit, and then Instagram sort of started up.
Yeah.
I remember the early days of Instagram, and I was pretty much just following Jeff Gogwe,
Yeah, same.
and it was all just art stuff
Yeah.
that I was following on Instagram. And then as I was taking my health a bit more seriously, I was looking at like programs and stuff like that. And then I came across the bro Friesma.
Yep.
The bro Friesma Fitness, and he's still rocking now. He's still
Yeah,
going
he's still
hard,
pumping,
doing
yeah.
programs and stuff for people. And I remember doing one of his programs and just shedding a whole bunch of weight. Like I shedded a whole bunch of weight, and I had no muscle underneath. Like,
Yeah.
but it was cool to not be so heavy anymore.
Yeah.
Like after that 101 kg, I dropped right down to 73.
Ah, look at that. That's
Yeah.
almost 30 kilos.
I dropped right down to 73, and
Was that 28 kilos?
yeah.
That's crazy.
And then when I hit another like sort of bad mental place in my life, I got down to about 69. So I went to the opposite end
Yeah.
of the depression,
Yeah.
going from being in a big body, and then
Yeah.
it can do the opposite to you too. It can take you down to the other end, and
Yeah.
neither end is healthy.
Yeah, of course.
And I got bored of the gym, like, to be honest, like lifting weights and stuff. I got bored, and like my body wasn't really changing. I
Yeah.
wasn't getting big or anything. And then I came across calisthenics.
Yeah.
Came across Chris Herrier.
Yeah.
And he's huge in the calisthenics world now. And I remember I was one of the first people to be on their program and on one of his calisthenic programs, like right at the beginning when he was doing them online.
Yeah.
When he first started putting them online, I remember I was one of the first people to register online to Thenix, doing calisthenics, and I just enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I noticed probably when I had the biggest changes, and when I do have the biggest changes in my body composition, is when I'm not focused on my body.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if I let go of what I look like and I focus more on just getting stronger and focusing on skill work, then
getting better at the movements.
And stuff, then the body will start to change. And like I've got a real out of a body, like if I want it to change, it can change pretty drastically,
it does
real
too.
fast.
Like, we notice it.
Yeah. Like at Matatini, I was pretty biggish and a little bit lumpy, and I think Hastings Nationals I was like pretty skinny.
You're pretty like solid too. I remember like you had abs.
A little bit, but they went away real fast too.
Sort of like an orchid.
And then
takes a while and just bloom, blossom.
Then the last Matatini recently, I was back up around the 88 kg range.
Yeah.
And then like just before we went to Hawaii, I sort of got back to a good place.
Yeah.
Like I lost a lot of body fat and like still up around 60.
Just that super
or
consistency.
86 kgs.
Yeah.
And that was just from not focusing on my body.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's probably the best thing with the gym, or the best advice I can give, because I'm no bodybuilder or nothing like that. But it's a great release for me. Like, there's 24 hours in the day, and other than the 2.5 to 3.5 hours that I might be in the gym every day, I'm literally sitting down.
Yeah.
Which isn't good. Like, so I know I get messages from people like, "Oh, you're crazy spending that much time in the gym every day." But like, I literally hardly walk anywhere. Like when I had a Fitbit, like I wasn't even getting 1,000 steps in.
Yeah.
It's that ridiculous how much I sit down. Like
sit down. Room.
Yeah, like to go toilet. That's pretty much how much I walk. Or to go and get food.
Yeah.
Which is not good. So I have to spend a couple of hours in the gym every day, and still finding out like stuff about my body. Like, I don't even know like what the right calories are to be in a deficit or in a surplus for me. Where's a good place, because like I burn a lot at the gym, but I also don't burn anything all day. So
they're like
pretty
hard
only
burning you do.
Pretty hard to figure it out, and most people figure out their calories from their job.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And so, not working out, so it's hard to find it. But
that's mean though, like that you'll figure out like what works for you and like something that you enjoy. And like I just wanted to go back. So like I think this is it Mental Health Awareness Month? I think it's Mental Health Awareness Month. If it isn't,
sorry.
Let's say it is. I think it should be Mental Health Awareness Month all the time. But so was it last week or the week before, I put out a video, and it was my first episode of the Creative Curiosity podcast, and I talked about like my depression, and like I didn't even realize I was depressed down in Palmy. So I was depressed in Palmy for maybe 2015, maybe like most of that year, and I got up
pretty
to
isolated when you were
that was it. It was just being isolated and just having like just feeling like you didn't really have any connection. Like it was just me and Sunny there, and I got up to 127 kilos. I reckon maybe 130. I was 127 when I weighed myself, and that was after like going to the gym for like a few weeks. Like I can lose a few kilos in a few weeks, but anyway, just recently like I realized that I was depressed down there, and like you were just talking about like your depression. Like, what's some advice that you would have listened to like in your depression, like? Because I know a lot of people, like, they give advice on, like, what to do when your friend is depressed or your brother is depressed or something like that. And it's, like, listen or, like, tell them to speak up. But I know when I was depressed, like, I don't want to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
And like, there's not stuff that I could be told. But I know for me, like, the advice that what would have made me come out a bit easier would have been if I saw other people sharing their depression, or like just saying that it was like normal for them. Like, what about for you? Like, what's some advice that you wish you could have gotten in order to help you move towards the light, like away from being depressed?
Jeez, bro, that's actually a hard one, eh?
Yeah, it is a hard one, eh? Like,
There's probably some own things in my head that I probably should have listened to myself in the beginning, and I probably would never have ended up in the depressed state. But you got to get out of it. Like, you got to think about like what you want.
Yeah.
Like what you want. What's gonna make you happy. What did I just say before that?
You got to get out of it what you want.
Yeah, my mind was going somewhere else to something good, and I've just forgotten it.
You were saying, listen. You said you wished you listened to
yourself.
yourself.
I wish I had listened to my own self and my own conscience, before
You had gotten
into my
depression
depressed state. Like, there's a few life choices that I probably could have made differently that would have stopped me from like leading down the track to becoming depressed.
Yeah.
And like, bring yourself out of it, and you will find that that particular area in your life where you were depressed is where you're gonna learn, or what you're gonna learn from the most.
Yeah,
like, about yourself.
100%, yeah.
Like, I learned from my depression, like what I want in my life, what I don't want in my life.
Yeah.
What makes me happy, what doesn't make me happy.
Yeah.
I learned so much about myself, like even being isolated, like I learned so much about myself. So,
Yeah.
even like if you're depressed, just talk to yourself.
Yeah, it's
Talk to yourself. If you can't talk to anybody else, talk to yourself in your own head, about what you want.
Yeah.
And the things that you need to do to get you there.
Yeah.
Like, you can make a plan, or you can
Yeah.
make somewhat of a plan, or you can just know what you want and then just take the leap.
Yeah.
And like, you could be depressed, you could take the leap towards something that's going to make you happy, which is could cause more darkness
Yeah.
for a little period of time, which could make other people unhappy,
Yeah.
which could make other people see you in a different light. But you just got to go there and not worry about anyone, and not worry about anyone else's happiness.
Yeah. Just for that period.
Just for that period
in
of
order
time.
to help get yourself
In
out
order
of
to
there.
help yourself, bro. Yeah.
I think that's mean. Like, would you say, like, because I know, like, you know, when you're in there, like, it's hard to talk to yourself like positively, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to say like good things about yourself. But would you say, like, just think about like what you want, and to just leave that idea over here, and to just try your hardest just to keep it there as like a little bit of a dim guiding light. And then on those days, because, you know, it's not like every day is just like super dark.
Yeah.
You know, you have some days where you're like, oh, I feel like a bit better today. And like on those days, to maybe like just push yourself there a little bit more towards that, even if, like you were saying, like, even if it means going a bit deeper down that hole first, in order to start climbing that mountain.
Shit, yeah, bro.
Yeah.
And don't blame yourself too.
That's a big one.
I spent a ton of time blaming myself for a lot of the reasons why I had become depressed.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't blame yourself.
It's not gonna, like, you're not helping anyone.
It's not helping anyone. It's not helping yourself.
Yeah.
And once you become happy, like, the people around you or the people that love you are gonna see you happy.
Yeah.
And like, it's gonna be better for them too, to see you happy. Like, I know it's done a heaps for my mum.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
For her to see her child happy.
Hard.
Yeah.
And like, I've seen it too. Like, I remember when I met Ngātai and I came over, and I was talking to George, like talking to your mum, and she's just saying like he's good, he's good. And I was just remember just saying like, wow, that's mean.
Yeah. And I just want to build like like I think if I'm like super at my happiness,
Yeah.
and Nata is at her super happiness, and then
Yeah.
this child's just gonna come into the world just into love,
Yeah.
and like we can try and do what we can to make our child happy, and
Yeah.
so that they don't have to go into anywhere that we've been.
Yeah.
Like we've all had times in our life where we get depressed, and it's probably hard to stop it from happening to yourself and to the people that you love.
Yeah.
But like just to do what we can for our child to be happy, and one of the first steps is for us to be happy and for our child to see that we're happy.
100%, because they're sponges, you know.
They'll soak it
they
in. If
do
they
what
come
you do.
into a world of hate, then they're gonna grow up hateful people.
Yep. That's all
But
they're gonna know. Yeah.
They come into a world of love, then that's all they're gonna know.
Yeah, hard.
Yeah.
And like even just doing this, like what we do now, like it's mean like seeing like a lot more people just talk about like being depressed. Like I feel like for me, like for example, for me, like I was too ashamed to admit that I was depressed, because like in my mind, I thought it was being weak, and like, you know, no one wants to deliberately be weak, you know, because but not understanding that like, wow, that's like one of the strongest things you can do is like to just get
admit
I'm
it to
depressed,
yourself first,
to admit that you're that you need to heal.
Yeah, don't
You know,
deny it, man.
especially as fellas, you know, like as like men, especially Māori, like blimmin', how the hell, like we come from a small ass country, blimmin', what, like 5 million people, and then like the highest rates of suicide are among Māori and Polynesian men, and like all of us, like we all know people who have blimmin' lost their life, who have taken their own lives, and like I believe like if they had spaces like this, or if they felt comfortable enough for this to just be the norm, like I'm hopeful for like our children's generation where this will just be normal, and like it won't be hard for them to just talk, because you know, if you can talk, it won't even be able to build up into something that's so big and overwhelming that they want to take their own life.
Yeah, and a lot of the people that do take their own life do it real drastically, real quick.
Yeah.
Like and sometimes it's at they'll blame somebody else.
Yeah.
And like something bad could happen in their life, and they just go straight there, straight to the top, and go and take their own life before even thinking about it, which is pretty sad.
Oh, it is.
But yeah.
And when you're in there, like you can't, and it's like I genuinely feel for like, you know, all the people who have like taken their own lives, and people who have attempted to, and who by some miracle are still here. Like I feel for them, because you know, I hear about a lot of stories where they think they're doing everyone else a favor by removing themselves from their whānau or from their circle of friends.
I've been there, bro. I've been there. I'm lucky I took the time to think.
Yeah.
Like when I was in those moments of where I could have just made drastic decisions and done something stupid. Could have easily have done something stupid, but took the time to think and think about how it was going to impact others as well. And
was it like when you were in there, like did you think, like, you know, you think about your family and that, was it like I don't want to do this to them, or was it more just like they would tell me it'll be okay, or like what sort of like what was it?
Yeah, I was thinking about how it would affect them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely how it would affect the people that I love.
Yeah.
I know it would have ruined them.
Of course.
Yeah. And I had to like stop blaming myself for some
everything
of the reasons why I was
yeah.
putting myself in that space.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I don't think I'd actually be talking about this on
that's brilliant.
on camera or anything.
It's privilege.
I hope it helps anybody out there who's going through a hard time.
I think that's what's good about
it took a long
doing
time.
This.
It took a long time for me to wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took a long time, and like my depression was for years. Like it wasn't for a little space of time.
Yeah.
Like even when I was happy, I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
Like
Deep down.
even on the outside, I sort of would look happy or be
Mm.
doing things that I would say was making me happy, but I
Mm.
wasn't happy, bro.
And only like you yourself.
Yeah, and
I know that, yeah.
I knew it like deep down, even though I would like try and be happy, I knew
Yeah.
deep down that I wasn't. And yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta admit it to yourself too.
Yeah.
And just hey, that stuff, bro.
Yeah. I hope there are people like out there listening to this and watching this video who are hearing this message at the right time that they need to hear this message, because yeah, like all we can do is like, you know, just share your own from your own experience.
Yeah.
You know, that's the best we could do. Share from our own experience, and like you sharing all that stuff. I know there will be at least one person who is listening to it and it's exactly what they needed to hear
Yeah.
right now. And if it's one person, look, that's one.
If you're that one person and you want to come and have a cordial to me, all good. I'd rather that than see someone take their life or
Yeah.
anything like that. And like sometimes the person who has the certificate for this sort of stuff, I know, might not be sometimes the right
Yeah.
people to go to. Like I've seen and heard like what a professional sounds like, and they just reading it out of a book, it feels like.
Yeah.
And like it would be much better to talk to someone who's actually been through and
Yeah.
experienced these sort of things. So,
Someone who can like properly understand.
yeah, no, like if anyone wants to talk to me, I might not be able to fix it,
Yeah.
but if you want to hear like what I've been through
Yeah.
and how I've come out of it, and even find a way that we can relate it back to your situation.
Yeah.
And even like if you need, like you want more of an old Māori approach, go and talk to Mā Kōpua, because I know that this is the sort of stuff that he's doing with his mahi at the moment,
Yeah.
and healing people through likening the things that they're going through to the things that our atua Māori went
Yeah.
through, and how they came out of it, and
Yeah.
how you can come out of it. And so there's a lot of different like
Yeah.
vehicles, and
100%.
the help's there. The help's there.
That's mean. That's so mean. And I'm a big believer too. Like, pardon me. I'm a big believer in a lot of like those depressing feelings, or you know, and amongst our people, like I can only speak like about our people, like Māori, comes from that disconnect, like
Yeah.
being disconnected from your whakapapa and being disconnected from like your tūranga waiwai and like, where you come from, and like you never know, like
Literally, bro, your marae, your
Yeah.
tūranga waiwai, is that's what it's built around, as a place to go home to.
yeah,
Ma being to be clear,
Yeah.
and rai being your mind. So when you need to clear your mind, that's what the marae is based around. Is that exact concept? Is he wāhi ki te wāwahi, you know?
Yeah.
It's a good place to go and cleanse yourself, and when you need to go back to knowing who you are
yeah,
and where you're from,
Yeah.
kia mā i te rai, hoki atu ki tō marae. That's, yeah.
There you go, whānau. If fellas are feeling like you need to go and clear the slate, go back to your marae, even if you just go and just sit there by yourself.
Yeah.
Just go and like smell the air and listen to the manu, and you know, if your marae happens to be in a city, just listen to what it sounds like from your marae's unique spot on our whenua.
Listen to the ground.
Listen to the ground.
Yeah, listen to the mauri. Like, I remember going for a hikoi in the bush with, what's his name? Is it Jason Amoro?
I don't know.
You know Jason Amoro?
Nah, who's there?
Cut that little bit out there.
Oh, yeah.
I remember going for hikoi up. I'm pretty sure it was Jason. Hang on. I don't want to get this wrong on
okay.
camera. Oh.
You're pretty good with names. I reckon it'll be that.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, I remember going for a walk in the bush one time with I'm pretty sure it's Jason Amoro, and just a little gem was like listening to the mauri of like anything in nature that stands out to you. Like if you're like just walking in a riverbed, and you see one rock, and the rock is just like, you just notice a rock. It could be just nothing. It could be just like that rock's whiter than the ones around it, but you notice it, and that's the earth talking to you. And so, you know, we would, every time anything would jump out at us, we'd go to that rock, and then Taurunga tū, taurunga tapu te mauri tū, te mauri tapu te mauri, nōwhia te mauri, nōrunga nōrangi nōnuku tū, tēnei te mauri ka whakapiki, tēnei te mauri ka whakakake, tēnei te mauri ka puta ki te whai ao, ki te ao marama. It's exactly that, bro. It's listening to the mauri of the whenua talking to you, because the earth does talk back. Like, it might not be literally talking.
Yeah. It's another language.
But something small like that is the earth talking back. It could even be a leaf. Something as small as a leaf. It could be something as big as a tree.
Yeah.
But if the earth is talking to you, then acknowledge it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
There's
right
a big
there.
cleanse in that, bro.
Yeah.
Huge cleanse in that. That's big cleansing.
And it sort of like solidifies your place on the whenua, and just realizing like you're not separate from it. Like, you come from it. That's you.
Yeah, we descend from the land. And when we die, that's where we go back to.
Go back.
Yeah.
The great circle of life.
It's a great circle of life, man.
There's some wise words from a wise line. Frick, there's some bombs, my bro. So I think our podcast has been going on for like an hour and a half. So I think there's definitely more than enough gems in there for everyone listening. Was there anything you wanted to say before we move on to our last bit?
No, I don't think so, bro.
Yeah, it's plenty in there.
I think kua tōkei te rā.
It might be tomorrow.
It might be tomorrow already. Well, it's almost tomorrow.
Yeah, so anyway, so this podcast, Creative Curiosity, like I said at the beginning, it's about delving into the creative mind. So we've done a deep dive into the bro's mind and into his ngākau and into his wairua. And now we're coming back up, and we're going to come into practicality now. So for all those creatives out there, bro, who aspire to be like you one day, or aspire to be like you one day soon, what are 3 practical steps that you would give them in order to move towards being professional at being a moko artist?
Oh, well, first of all, you don't want to be like me. You don't want to be an eek. So, number 1, don't be an eek. Nah. I suppose, I think we sort of spoke about it before the podcast started. I think I'll change one to happiness.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, definitely. Be happy.
Prioritize happiness.
Prioritize happiness over everything, because then everything else is going to fall into place after that. Like, if you set yourself up to be happy, and then there's things that you want to attain, then setting yourself up with happiness first is, it's just going to put a good aura around you too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if anyone wants to be like me or whatever, but like, if you're wanting to do like moko, become professional moko, then if you put a positive aura around you, then that's what you'll draw in.
Yeah.
And what you're putting in is what you're going to get out of it too. So maybe dedicate yourself.
Yep.
Like, absolutely dedicate yourself. I've had plenty of opportunities in my time to take up like a full-time job, or to go into other study, to become a teacher and take up a 9-to-5 and all that sort of stuff, but I've never wanted to.
Yeah.
The only way that you're going to get to achieve something that you want to achieve is to dedicate yourself 100%, and having a plan B is a plan to fail. So dedicate yourself.
Burn those boats.
Yeah, bro. Happiness, dedication, and if it's moko, find somebody to teach you.
Yep.
If you don't, the road is a lot longer. You'll pick up a lot of bad habits first before picking up good habits.
Yeah, and be hard to undo, eh?
Yeah, but hard to undo. Yeah, and keep your ego in check too.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Got to keep your ego in check.
That's a young man's game. Like that was me too when I was younger, thinking I was the man.
And
once I snapped out of that, could start growing.
Yeah, and every time like even to now, like I'll do a piece and I'm never happy.
Yeah.
Like I always hope my next piece is gonna be my best piece.
Yeah.
And that's part of the ego check. Like
Yeah.
you can't be just like, this piece, I've done this piece, I'm the man.
Yeah.
You gotta keep trying to get better every day.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
So is that your advice?
Yeah,
So, first one,
happiness.
prioritize happiness. Second one,
Dedicate yourself
dedication.
utterly.
Yeah, 100% or not at all.
And the
And
last
third
one
one?
is find a teacher,
Find a teacher.
or let a teacher find you. I was lucky to have that,
Let a teacher
have-
find you.
to have someone come in.
And be open enough to recognize that someone who comes into your life could be a teacher for you.
Yeah.
Me? So, 3 practical steps. Any last words before we sign out?
Tai au moko hei hoa matenga mo.
The famous words. So that's been it, whānau. This is my brother Cy McLeod, aka Uhiwero, on all social platforms. Oh, where can everyone follow you?
Instagram at Uhiwero. I know some people are still handy Facebook. On Facebook, I think it's still Uhiwero Uhitaia.
Oh yeah.
I have a new Facebook page, like a personal one, and I'm gonna keep that real small because, like I said, in order to remove the negativity from my life, bro, I just made a new Facebook page and
Clean slate.
I'm clean slating it, keeping it that small. So pretty much at the moment it's just Instagram is the main one.
Yep.
Yeah, Instagram's the main one if you want to get in touch. And
I'll put that at the bottom of this video. Those of you listening to audio, at UHIWERO at Uhiwero. So this is my brother Cy. My name is Te Haunui Tuna. This is Creative Curiosity. First guest. Love you, my brother.
I love you too, my bro. Curiosity killed the cat.